Christine, and I'm the music teacher here at Boone Meadow, and I'm joined by this incredible group of fourth graders for something really special. Tonight's program is entirely written by the students. From the music, to the form, the instruments, the lyrics, even the structure with who's on the mic and what we're doing. Everything you see tonight is about empowering the students to make their own decisions and to see how music works within a framework. And we're really excited to share with you 3 pieces tonight, one piece by each of the classes. And these 3 pieces we have been working on for a very long time. And it's been a joy as their teacher to see them start with some, fairly basic ideas and see them grow and become more and more complex. So a composition is a piece of music made by an individual. In this case, every single student was a composer. For the past few months, we've been working on a project that I put together called my Student Composition Project. And this project had a series of steps. We started by looking at rhythms, moved on from there to lyrics, then to instruments. We allowed the students to improvise, which means they got to make up certain things as they go and hear ideas and say, is this something that I like, or is this something that we should change? We moved on to writing specific melodies down on sheet music. And I don't know how many of you are musical or have a music background in your past, but for those of you who do, this is going to be really cool. And for those of you who don't, I'm going to do my best to kind of even teach you a little bit about how we understand music theory and how music is written and then played. So we went through really just everything you can think of to come up with these pieces. Now, we did use some worksheets, and I want to show you what those look like. This was the first step of our project. This is a rhythm composition worksheet. And from the beginning of my time here at Boone Meadow, we've talked about these things we call the pillars of music. That was good. We didn't even practice that. Okay, so there are 4 pillars of music, and the first one is a steady beat. And most music has a steady beat that doesn't speed up and doesn't slow down. However, what we learned throughout this process is that once you learn the rules in music, you can break them. So with all of these things, we start with the rule, we start with how music works, and then it's okay to start thinking outside of the box and saying, does music have to always stay steady? The answer is no, it doesn't. It can speed up and it can slow down. We started with 16 beats, okay? Those are divided into 4-beat sections we call measures. And from there, the students added rhythms. And so now I put hearts up there to represent the beats. And rhythms that could be used included things like quarter notes or eighth notes, half notes, whole notes, rests. Then, once we had our rhythms, we looked at the instruments. Now the instruments on stage that you see are called Orff instruments. And what's so special about Orff instruments is you can take notes off that don't sound good within the context of the piece. And that's what we did. We've taken off 3 notes and created what's called a pentatonic scale. And I know I'm already losing some people here, but the point is, just keep with me for a second, all right? So we have this scale where any of the notes within this pentatonic scale would sound good with any of the other notes. Then we use these notes on the music staff, that's the 5 lines going across a page of music, with letters to know which notes go where. Finally, we transferred our rhythm to a melody. Now, you might be wondering, well, why do you do this, right? Why is it important that the students learn how to create their own music? And there's an awful lot of reasons and answers to that question. But I think that, I think that it can be, in some ways, easy to play someone else's music, and far more difficult, and also far more inspiring when you're making your own. And so the basis of this program tonight is for the students to have fun not only learning about music, but also creating their own music. And as a school, we talk a lot about student empowerment, and so my hope is that tonight you see that. So let's talk about our first piece. It's called Bark the Shark. And this piece was written, well, you know what, you don't want to hear it from me. Why don't we have our student representative come up. So this is Molly, come on up.
Hello, my name is Molly, and our song is called Bark the Shark. This song is by Jacob.
Jacob, do you want to stand up so we can see you? Great.
The B section is by Abby and Carter. The C and D section is by Adeline and Wendy. Hope you like our song.
Now, earlier I told you that every student did create their own composition, and what we did is we had the students who were interested play it for their class, and then we chose one. And then we opened it up for additional time for students to create additional sections, like a B section or a C section. But one of the other pieces of student input I got is that a good program should have jokes. So Gideon, why don't you come up? We got some jokes.
What did the shark say when he pranked the surfer? What? Chill, bro. I was just pulling your leg. What did the hammerhead shark say to his mom after passing the test? What? Nailed it. What is a shark's favorite kind of sandwich? What? Peanut butter and jellyfish.
At this point, I'm going to ask Mrs. Meyer's class to very calmly walk to your instruments. And guys, actually, okay, yeah, that's fine. Is there? Just make sure there's a light. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let's hear it for Miss Meyer's class. While they're getting set up, I want to show you what the students' work looks like. This is Jacob's first step of his project when he created a rhythm. And then above each beat, you can see a series of numbers. They circled the number of notes in each beat, which they then matched to syllables in lyrics. So you can see this is his rhythm. Then he converted it into a melody. Like so. That is going to be our A section, which you'll hear in just a moment. Then for a B section, we have Abby and Carter's piece. You can see how they wrote out their piece. And then a C section, just A, B, and C, it's just different parts, right? It's just the order of their piece. These are the rhythms that they chose to do on the drums. And here is a D section by Adeline and Wendy. So just one more moment here. Oh yeah, I gotta show you this. This is what it looks like when you put it all together. And the students came up with their own form. A form is like a musical map, which is the order that they're gonna play their piece. So you see the blue is their A section. Then that's gonna be with just the low mallets, the instruments in the back. A B section will be everyone on the mallet instruments. That's the red part. We'll go back to the A section with just the high sounding mallet instruments. We'll have a short interlude and then a C section on the low tubano drums in green. And the D section is on the high tubano drums in the black. Here's their lyrics, and we're gonna sing it to you first. So here's what the A section sounds like. Singing first. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, sing.
There was a shark that ate some bark, and that's how he got his name, Bark.
Very good. And here's the B section. 1, 2, ready, go.
Then Bark ate some sweet tarts, so sweet, so tart, Bark likes sweet tarts.
And here's our C section. Speaking. 1, 2, ready, go.
Then there was another shark, and he ate more bark, but his name was Clark, not Bark, the shark.
And finally, our D section. 1, 2, ready, go.
Then Bark came back to throw his bark. Then Clark gave him some soup. Then he felt much better. Thanks, Clark.
Here's with the instruments. We hope you enjoy this. This is Bark the Shark.
This is the Bacon song. And the A section, as he said, there are different sections. So the A section is written by Anshul. And the B section of the song is written by Kale. And the C section of the song is written by Katie, Laura, and Adam. Thank you guys for coming. Hope you enjoy our song.
Just to show you guys, this is our A section. This song, of course, is very near and dear to my heart, the Bacon song. So we've got our A section rhythm turned into a melody. We've got our B section right here. Our C section. This one is going to be incorporated dance. So we wanted to have some dance in this one and some motions. And here's the continued version of the C section. So when you put it all together, here's what you get. We're going to start. We're going to start by singing the A section. Then the students wanted to sing the B section so that you could hear the words and the melody. We'll have a little bass bar interlude, and then the C section performed on the drums and with movement, followed by singing and playing the A and B section, and finishing with the students simply playing without singing their A section one last time. So students, you may come on up to your instruments. You got it.
What do you call a bacon-wrapped dinosaur? What? Jurassic Pork. What do you get when you cross a pig and a centipede? What? Bacon and legs. Why did the pig go in the kitchen? Why? He was baking dinner.
Thank you guys. Thank you. 1, 2.
Bacon every day. It is the best of the time. It brightens my day. I wish I could eat all day. You are the best bacon. You are my heart bacon. I love you. Bacon is the best food.
Our final piece this evening is called The Elevator Song. So let's have our student representatives come on up to introduce this song. song, the elevator song. I don't know, it was inspired by something Sadie said one day. So, you're going to enjoy it.
Welcome BME parents and students. Thank you all so much for coming. My name is Madeline. And I'm Aiden. We are students from Mr. Knoll's 4th grade class. And today we're going to be telling you a little bit about our piece, the elevator song. It started out with Cora making our A section. Then Madeline, Cora, Amelia, and I made our B section. Finally, Olivia and Sadie made our C section, a piano duet. But in the end, our whole class pitched in to make our piece great. Now, we hope you guys enjoy our song.
What did one elevator say to the other elevator?
What?
I think I'm coming down on something. How are good friends like broken elevators? They never let you down. What is Darth Vader's wife's name? Ella Vader.
Let's hear it one more time for Gideon and Alex from Jokes. You guys are right, it's definitely better with jokes. Program's definitely better with jokes, so good job, good job. All right, let's take a look at this, this elevator song. Here's Cora's original composition, where she took her rhythms, filled them into the beats, and then added lyrics whose syllables matched the number of notes in each beat. Then she turned it into a melody that we could play on an instrument. By the way, this could be played on a piano, it could be played on any pitched instrument, even a French horn if you got one of those. Here's the B section. And this was created, I believe, during race day one day, Friday with some extra time that we had. Students were allowed to come to music for an additional time and came up with our B section, and here is our C section. You'll notice that the C section is written for piano, and so we're going to have a piano duet. You can also be listening for a round. The first time the students play this A section that you see on the screen, they'll do it straight through, but the second time they're going to do it as a two-part round. Now, a round is when, like, there's two groups, one starts, and then a few beats later, another starts. So the students wanted to make this a round. Following that, we have our C section. Now, this is a kind of an interesting anecdote. I told you at the beginning that we want to start by learning the rules of how music works. And then, like, you know, when a musician is actually, like, for example, let's say a singer that you'd hear on the radio. They know the rules of music, but then they know how to break some of those rules. For example, you don't always have to have 4 beats grouped together. What would happen if you had 3 beats grouped together? What would happen if you had 6 beats grouped together? And as I was talking about that one day, one of our students, Isaiah, mentioned that, well, Mr. Doublestein, I know you like to go like in order, like from your A section to your B section to your C section. And honestly, I just assign the letters to whatever section's coming next. But he said, I want to put the C section second. And I said, well, you can't do that. You know, we always go A, B, and C. He said, well, you told me we could break the rules. And so he was right. And so we're going straight from an A section to a C section. And this is one of those moments where it is okay to break some of the rules. So yes, We're going straight from A section. We'll do the C section 2 times. This will be a piano duet. And then our B section, which will be performed first on the mallets, second on the drums, just the rhythm of it, and third will be both together. You're also going to notice an introduction and an outro on this piece. And I'll let you just hear that as it's played. All right? So this is the elevator song. So Mr. Knoll's class, come on up. While they're finishing getting ready, it's so neat when the students take off with their creativity. A few weeks ago, which remember I only see them once a week, so that was like a few classes ago, this piece looked completely different. And each week they have more and more ideas on how to make it more complicated. And it got quite complicated. I hope you guys enjoy this. This is the elevator song.
It was a dark, rainy night. A man was on his way walking home from work, when all of a sudden he walked by this abandoned hotel. He knew it had not always been there, and as he looked up at it, a light was on at the top. He started walking toward it, because he wanted to see what was happening. When all of a sudden, it started pouring rain, and then there was thunder and lightning. And out of the shadows came a witch. She started screaming at him, laughing at him. She yelled at him. She said, "How dare you disturb me? But no worries, now you shall pay. And you shall turn into an elevator, and you shall sing this song over and over." It goes a little something like this. Of the man who turned into an elevator.
Well, when embarking on a when embarking on a project like this, there was a lot of risk taken, and we never knew exactly where it would end up. In fact, I had never done a program anything like this before, where basically the idea was you give the students the structure and then you let them go, and you let them create, and you let them have their own ideas. And that's something that I really think that, music should be like that. And at the same time, it should be fun. It should be things about, there's no problem with it being about, Bark the Shark or bacon or elevators. And, this is what's in the head of your students and of your kids, and I love that. To be honest, the bacon thing's on my mind an awful lot too. But I'm really proud of these kids because I think by going through a project like this, we actually learned more about music than if I had stood up and explained this is what a 3/4 time signature is, and this is how repeat signs work. Basically throwing the students in there and letting them ask questions of, can we do this? And almost always trying to say yes and figuring out how to make that work. So I want to just maybe take just another moment to reward these students for the risks that they took and really give them just one more sign of our how proud we are of them. And what's really crazy is that, in not too long, they're going to go to middle school, and they're going to be given, a band instrument or an orchestra instrument, or they're going to use their voice in choir. And my hope, students, is that you don't forget everything that you just learned, right? We know how to read rhythms. We know how to read letter names for notes. We know how these things work and why they work. And so take that with you as you go on to middle school, and you can do incredible things, whether you're in band, choir, or orchestra. So I'm excited to hear what they end up doing. Parents, I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for your support of music education. Thank you for believing in what we're doing. Thank you for encouraging your kids when they take home their recorders and learn how notes work, and for sticking with them through those hard times, and for enjoying with them when they do something beautiful and meaningful like what you experienced tonight. I want to also mention that the students have also been artistic throughout the year, and their artwork is on display in the front of the school. If you came in and already got to see that, but each student has some art displayed, and that's part of Mrs. Albright's art show. And I want to invite you guys to at least stop by and see, and maybe take a picture of your kid by their artwork. So thank you everyone for coming, and best of luck to these kids as they go on to middle school. I can't wait to see what you guys do.